I'm Nicola Hume, and this is Talking Bull, where we talk all things Oracle Red Bull Racing. Now, for this episode, we're not at the Red Bull Technology Campus. No, we're at the very swanky offices for Red Bull in Covent Garden in central London. Now, today, we have a very special guest. So she's got petrol head pedigree like no other. She's a rising star in her own right, having jetted off around the world with the Red Bull Showrun team. You might also recognise her from her appearances on the Drive Tribe YouTube channel, from the podcast Who We Are Now, which she hosts with her dad, Richard Hammond. And you would have definitely seen her on the Oracle Red Bull Racing YouTube channel. Welcome to the show, Izzy Hammond.
Hi. That was a lovely introduction. I feel very welcomed. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad at all. How are you?
I'm not too shabby. It's quite nice at these offices, isn't it?
It's lovely, isn't it? I feel very strange because usually I'm on the other side of the table doing a podcast. So it feels a little bit weird being a guest. I don't really know where to put my hands.
Just wherever you want.
Okay, maybe I'll fold my arms. That feels a bit formal.
That does feel formal. That feels very closed off.
Yeah,
Body
maybe I need
language.
to be more open.
That's what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're learning.
It's just a casual chat.
Yeah, we're
That's
just
all
going
it
to have
is.
a yap, and I love yapping.
Yeah.
It's my favourite thing to do.
So how have you been after you've been travelling around all over the place for the last few months?
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, I'm not going to lie. I'm a creature of comfort as well. So I come from sort of the middle of nowhere in the British countryside. So I'm kind of used to that. So it's been quite exciting going here, there and everywhere with Red Bull, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, nice. I have to ask, does petrol actually run in your blood?
It probably should, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
It probably should. No, I wasn't always into cars, if I'm totally honest. Yeah, I know.
That is controversial.
Shock horror. I'm really sorry, everyone. Yeah, I think because it was always sort of wound up with what my dad did, for me, cars were just synonymous with his work. So it just wasn't something that I felt like I could be interested in or even wanted to be interested in. And then as I got older, I was like, oh, these things are quite cool. Maybe I'm into this. And now I feel like I wasted so many years when he'd have like press cars coming and testing the newest cars out there. And it's just gone straight over my head. And now I'm thinking, well, if there was a Lamborghini or something parked up outside, I'd be quite excited now.
That's what I mean. That's what I wanted to ask, because he would be rocking up in like the coolest cars, not even new stuff, but like some even beautiful old classics.
Yeah.
And as a kid, you just wouldn't even look twice.
Me and my sister used to actually play in one of the Land Rover Defenders. And I mean, like, ignition off, it had bars on the back of it. And we'd like physically use them as monkey bars. And that was our interest in cars, which is terrible. And now I'd be like, give me the keys. I'm taking it for a drive. But yeah, and now I'm into it.
And what about Formula One?
Yeah, so Formula One for me it's fairly new for me. Because my dad was never really interested in it. It was just not something that he's into every other car.
Yeah.
But just Formula One was never an interest of his. And I think we kind of share a really similar opinion towards it, in that traditionally there's almost like this barrier to entry with Formula One. That if you don't know all the stats, if you don't know what happened on turn 3 in 2012 in Spa or whatever, then you're not a real fan and you don't have a right to sort of have an opinion on it. Whereas I'm very much like, no, I think we can just learn as we go.
Absolutely.
And I think we can just be into it and actually want to find out more. And I think that's where I've come into it. Of course, you've got Drive to Survive, which helps to get to know who you're watching and what's going on in the politics and everything. But then for me, watching Drive to Survive was a massive sort of jump into the sport as a whole.
Yeah.
It kind of opened the door for me to be interested in it. And now I love it and I want to know everything about it.
I think the thing with sort of old school F1 fans, like, they've been in it since they were kids and they love it. But I think they're also quite welcoming to new fans as well. And I think Drive to Survive definitely helped with that.
Yeah.
And now we have such a massive fan base for Formula One. It is absolutely huge. But I was kind of similar in a sense. Like, I went from cars and then worked my way into motorsport because I'm a car girl, and then became a motorsport person. And now I just kind of love all types of motorsport. But Drive to Survive, I think, definitely helps with that. And I enjoyed it. It's quite good.
It's great.
It's a good show.
It's brilliant.
It's drama.
Yeah, we love a bit of drama.
We do.
If it's getting more people into Formula One, then what's not to love about it?
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yeah. You went to Silverstone this year, didn't you?
I did.
Did you enjoy?
I loved, of course, absolutely loved it. We were talking earlier, so I went to Silverstone. Well, I went to my first ever F1 race last year, which was Silverstone, and my dad told me that we were going, and we actually went with Red Bull because I think Drive Tribe and Red Bull were sort of had a plan in the makings, because then we went on to do some filming together. So I think that was kind of happening on the side. So they said, why don't you guys come along to Silverstone with us? And my dad called me and I was at home and he said it, and I actually had to put the phone down and run around my garden like a toddler with the zoomies, because I was so excited. I thought, I'm going to cry, I'm going to throw up. This is the best thing ever. And then sort of got back on the phone. I said, yes, that sounds lovely. I'd love to attend. And put the phone down and sort of did the same thing again. And it was, you know, when you build something up in your head to be incredible and you think, okay, well, it's never going to be that good. Silverstone was that good and 10 times more. It was just the feeling, being around those cars. Wow. It's amazing.
It's the feeling that you get through your body.
Yeah.
It's the only way to explain it. So
yeah, you can feel it.
Yeah, so I've been to Silverstone a couple of times, and this year we went with Red Bull, we went with the Talking Bull podcast, and we got to watch the start from the pole position lounge, which is like the Red Bull hospitality area.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Fancy,
it's pretty nice.
And we kind of sat there and we got to be so close to see the lights going out and seeing the cars go. And all I was doing was I was just watching Max's car, and then all of a sudden lights out and they went, and then I felt everything go through my body, and then I burst out into tears.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But it does give you that big emotion. It really does.
Did you get to go around the Red Bull garage, all that kind of thing?
all of that. Yeah, it's pretty special.
So now you're kind of involved with the F1 Red Bull team, aren't you? So you've been doing the Showrunner Show. So you've been going around to loads of different countries and seeing what it's like to do the show runs. Now, we've had a little chat with David Coulthard when we spoke to him at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And we know that he does a load of the show runs where you show off the old cars, go and do big stunts, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But your series is kind of behind the scenes. Let's see how the whole thing works,
Exactly,
right?
yeah. So the show runs are really cool in themselves, and they are a big sort of variety of different things. So you've got like a demonstration, you've got stunts, and it's all about bringing the car to places that the car hasn't seen before a lot of the time. So we put them on ice, we put them on sand, we put them on mud, we put them places they really shouldn't go, and then we also bring them to countries and cities that don't normally see an F1 car.
Yeah.
So we just went to Poland and they don't have a Grand Prix, so they would never have seen an F1 car sort of knocking about in their country, and all of a sudden we're just going to put one straight through the middle of their streets of one of their cities, because why not? And the reaction from the fans is insane. And it's not something that I really was focused on when I came into this, because I was very much like coming on board as kind of a junior, like mini mechanic and learning all about the car, which is amazing. And what I didn't factor in is the reaction of other people seeing the car. A little bit like my reaction to going to Silverstone. All these people, they just flock to it. And this isn't a race weekend. This car is not going to race. We're going to do some donuts and it's going to look cool. But for the most part, it's going to sit there. And people love it. Absolutely love it. And it's so special to be there and see it from that side and watch them all come over. It's amazing.
I think what we've learned from doing this podcast as well is, because normally, I mean, we do have some questions that I'm going to get to later, but we get questions that come through from the Red Bull Paddock, which is the fan site. And it's from all over the world.
Yeah.
So whichever country you go to, there are crazy F1 fans just like there are here in the UK.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is why the show runs are so fun, because we're bringing the car to those people that would never, and you can get so close, like way closer than you would be if you went to a race. It's right there in front of you. You hear it start up, you watch it do its thing. And for me, there is nothing cooler than an F1 car doing a donut.
I agree.
I just think it's the coolest thing ever.
I totally agree.
So why would you not want to be a metre away from that?
But like when you went to Poland, you went to a Speedway Place.
Yeah.
So you put the car on sand.
Yeah, so it's kind of like sandy mud.
Yeah.
It was not what that car was built to drive on. But this is what's quite fun about the show runs. They really want to test these cars, because otherwise, like we're using the RB7 and the RB8, and otherwise they would just be sat kind of in a museum, because they were amazing race cars in their prime.
Yeah.
But it's all about, no, let's keep these guys going as long as we can. Let's make them do weird stuff. Why not? So they sort of did the testing beforehand to make sure that the car could physically drive on this sort of strange surface, and then just took it to Poland. So let's just give it a go, see what happens.
And you put on a tyre. You used a wheel gun.
I did.
What was that like?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why. This was the thing I was nervous about. And I'll tell you what, it's the sound of the thing.
Yeah.
Those wheel guns are louder than the car. They are so loud. So I was putting it off, and then I did it, and it was actually kind of fine. and I did feel quite cool. I did feel like I was in the pit crew.
Well, because I watched it and I watched you put the tyre on, and then they seemed happy with what you did.
I know.
That was it.
I was
They didn't
pretty-
have to like tweak it or anything.
I know, and I thought that is brave.
You smashed it.
I did think, poor David, if something happens, I'm very sorry. That was entirely my fault, but it was all fine.
But also, what I want to make very clear to you is, I don't know if you know how this works, but the pit crew that go to every race, they have whoever travels out, they have whoever's there within the mechanics can go and change a tyre, and they can kind of do 2 jobs while they're there on a race weekend. Now, sometimes they need reserves if someone's not very well. Do you know what I mean? So if you're ever going to a race, now you know how to change a tyre. All I'm saying
I don't love
is I
that.
can have words.
I don't think I love that pressure. I think Max would get very cross. I'd probably cry. Yeah. But, you know, if worse comes to worse,
Yeah.
I'll be there.
All right, I'll suggest it.
Okay.
All right. So some of these incredible locations, amazing stunts that you're seeing, what is a typical showrunner's day? Like what happens on a typical day?
Well, I think this is what's so fun, is they're all so different. And actually, there's quite a few mechanics on the team that have done both. So they've been in the race team and followed the team around the world and done all the race weekends. And they've done the show runs. And it's interesting to see what they prefer and why. And I think the fun thing about show runs is no day is the same. So
Yeah.
in Poland, our first day was chaos. I mean, I think we started at about 4 a.m. And the first thing we did was start the car. Because this is something I learned very quickly. A car cannot just start. There's a lot of stuff that's got to go on before that. And it's like an hour's worth of stuff. And on a big filming day, which was our first day with Red Bull Poland, and they had all these amazing shots around the city, and it was like 5 different locations. The faff of getting that car there, getting it ready to do its thing, there's so much that goes into it.
Really?
So much. And in my silly little non-mechanic head, I'm thinking, yeah, put it on a flatbed, drop it off it goes. No, there is so much that goes into it. So each day is really different, but it's all about, a lot of it is heating the car, keeping it warm, making sure it's ready, not letting it overheat, because F1 cars weren't really built to do donuts. So donut after donut after donut, you need a fire extinguisher. And that was one of my jobs at one point, was to hold a fire extinguisher, which was a little bit
That's
scary.
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you talk to some of the mechanics that have been in the team for years and years and years, they've got stories to tell of it going wrong.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
But as we're speaking, you have just got back from Texas. I know there's not a lot of stuff that we can talk about
Yeah.
because the episode hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in a few weeks' time. But what can you tell us about Texas?
Ooh. Well, we sort of had a slightly different focus on this episode because we had one of the junior drivers driving for the first time. So he'd never driven an F1 car before. So that was pretty special.
That's huge.
Yeah. And one of us may have broken the car. I'm not going to say who.
I was just going to throw a bit out there and say that was you. But-
You'll have to watch and see.
oh, wait, do we reckon it's you?
The probability is quite high that it's me.
Okay.
But you never know. You never know.
But how does it feel for you as a now F1 fan and now car girl? How does it feel to be stood around all of these awesome cars with those Red Bull headphones on and just kind of being in the moment and being so connected to the team?
I literally feel like the coolest person in the whole world.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I put the kit on, and it's like the little tiny things, like they all have their radios and they clip them on the back of their trousers and then they hook the headphones on top so they kind of sit behind you. So as soon as I learnt that trick, I was like, okay, I'm in. I'm in the team. I'm doing the thing. I've
You're
learnt
hired.
the thing. It's amazing. Like, I feel insanely grateful, and the novelty just never wears off. And every time I'm next to the car, because a lot of the time we're sort of standing in the garage waiting for things to happen, keeping the car warm. I do a lot of polishing the car. That tends to be a job that I've
but that's
given.
good because of aerodynamics.
Yeah, well, exactly. But every single time I'm next to it, I have to touch it, because all I'm thinking is, what if I never get to be this close to one ever again? So every time I'm close to it, you'll see my hand is just on it, because I just have to I have to feel it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I totally get
It's
it.
kind of weird, but It happens.
I don't know if you did the same as well. When we were at Festival of Speed, that's where they revealed Adrian Newey's RB17.
Yeah.
And I totally touched it.
Did you?
I totally touched it.
Oh, I was too
Don't
scared.
tell Adrian, but I absolutely touched it.
No, I couldn't have done that. I was far too scared. I think I touched the other ones because they had them all lined up in the middle. Yeah, I felt pretty confident over there, but I stayed pretty clear of that.
Don't get me wrong. It was literally a tap. But I stood there and I went, I've done it. I have to.
I love it.
Come arrest me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do about it? Yeah.
We've got loads of questions that have come in from all over the world via the Red Bull Paddock, which is the Red Bull Racing fan site. Right, so here we go. First one from Jonathan in Canada, who says, what does a typical day behind the scenes of a show run look like for you and the team? Are there particular rituals, routines, or inside jokes that help keep the crew, help get the crew through a long and stressful day?
Every day's different. The one thing that was very much a tradition at the end of the day is a pint in the hotel afterwards. Yeah, I'd say that was kind of the main, that's what we're really doing the day for. We can see that on the horizon and we're just getting to that point.
This is from Lacey Ann in Jamaica, who says, what's something about the show run team or circuit that people might not know? And is it really as hard work as it seems?
Oh, that's a good one. It is hard work, definitely. These guys put in insane hours. Something you wouldn't know. This is something I didn't know. I didn't know there were so many. These things happen constantly all over the world. And the car spends most of its time packed away into boxes on flights and on sort of different transportation around the world. Like, it doesn't really spend that much time chilling, doing nothing. It's constantly moving, which all I was thinking was, I'm so glad I'm not in charge of that, of those logistics, of getting an F1 car across the world.
Also, I wonder how it travels. Like, if it travels just as cargo on a normal commercial flight, like you might be sat on a flight going on holiday and there's an F1 car underneath you.
So in the Texas episode, there's a little, basically we had the RB7 and the RB8, and the RB7 was all packed into boxes. And then the other car just literally driven into like a wooden container and just shipped away.
Oh, that's so satisfying.
But it didn't look safe. I mean, it got there fine, but I wouldn't like to be in that.
Oh, God, yeah, no pressure. This is from Dorian in Hungary, who says, how different is preparing the car and the equipment for a show run compared to preparing it for a race?
I think it's pretty different. It's no longer sort of, I mean, it's still a Formula One car, but you wouldn't want to pop it on the grid, I think. Once it's been built to go on sand and snow, it looks a little bit different. But that's why they do a lot of testing. So before Poland, they went to Oxford and did some testing there to make sure.
This is from Denise in Mexico, who says, how does it feel to bring the magic of Formula One to fans in such unique settings?
Amazing. I think that's the best part of the show runs. It's so much fun. And there was a little girl actually in Poland. She must have been about 4 or 5, like this little dot, wearing like a mini Red Bull shirt, and she stayed. Like, the show run had finished, we were packing away, and she was still there right at the end. And, you know, like, the cars were off, we were stripping them down. So one of the mechanics actually just scooped her up from over the barrier and just sat her in the car. Because it was like, why not? And this little girl's face was just the best thing I've ever seen. Her mind was blown. It was amazing.
She will remember that forever.
That's exactly what I said when it was happening. It was so sweet.
This is from Arjan in the Netherlands, who says, what is your ideal dream place to hold a show run?
That's a really good question. Selfishly, I want to do it in Herefordshire, where I live, down my country lanes, and just watch all the cows and the horses. I'm thinking future, the moon.
Sure.
I mean, it's a big plan. It would take a lot to get it there, but how cool would that be?
I would worry about the weight of the cars and the gravity situation.
I just don't think that's something we need to worry about.
Okay.
I think in the future it'll just happen, and then we could pop a little Red Bull can on the moon.
Yeah, I like that.
Amazing.
Get rid of the American flag. Yeah. Chuck in a Red Bull can.
Don't need it. Perfect. It's a plan. I'm going to start planning now.
So obviously being part of the team and doing the show runs, you must be now very close with DC.
Oh, best buds, yeah.
So can you literally just like ask him a favour?
100%.
That.
No, I was his assistant. I think I did pretty well. But he's so cool, and it's so fun because, of course, he's retired now because he's ancient. So it's quite fun to...
Just want to... Can you repeat that one more time, please? Just so we
David
can...
Coulthard is ancient.
Good. Okay, we're going to just take that clip
Yeah,
and
you
send
just
that to
clip
him.
that up and
Good.
see what he says. Yeah, love you really, David. But no, he's so cool, and he loves doing, like, from speaking to him, he loves doing the show runs, and it's just so much fun, and people love seeing him, and he's pretty good at donuts. He's really got that skill mastered. Yeah.
I mean, you'd think, like, as a former F1 driver, kind of still being involved within F1, still going out and managing to drive the old cars. Not all F1 drivers can still do that.
Well, exactly. I think that's why the show runs are so special, because it's kind of either end of the spectrum as well, because you've got new drivers that have never been in an F1 car before and are sort of coming up through the ranks. You know, like Max Verstappen did it, like a load of them have done it. So it's kind of their first taste. And then you've also got drivers like David, who's done with the racing, but of course he still wants to drive an F1 car.
Yeah.
Why? Who wouldn't?
Now, I just wanted to... I know it's not on my notes, but because you're working with cars and I am a car person, I have to talk cars with you. What's the best car you've ever driven, please?
Oh, gosh. I recently actually drove an old Porsche 911. Like a 1960s, 70s kind of vibe.
Oh, did it smell good?
Oh, amazing. It was left-hand drive and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the coolest thing I've
Fully
driven.
manual left-hand drive?
Oh, yeah.
Love that.
I drove it through London, stalled it 3 times.
Smashed it.
Yeah.
That's all part of the experience.
Yeah, and it was the Concours of Elegance. Because I was judging there, judging, brave.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of blagging. So I had to drive into the concourse, which is full of like beautiful cars and people that love these cars and, you know, are at one with these cars. And I'm trying to get this thing into gear.
Oh, don't.
And I'm doing all the cranking noises and I'm trying to, and when I left, I stalled it and it was just,
There's full pressure with everyone watching.
It wasn't great.
And then watching knowing that you're Richard Hammond's daughter.
Oh, it doesn't help.
No.
Leaving was worse because they'd seen me and they'd seen what I was doing and it had kind of been announced and I sort of gave these awards and I was like, la, 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 look at me. And then, got my car, stalled it. So it's brilliant. Yeah. But I'm learning.
Was there like a plan B? Because I feel like naturally, with Richard being your dad, it kind of cars and motorsport and that side of things just is, I mean, it's in your blood, it runs through your veins. It was just the obvious choice for you to go into this line of work. But was there a plan B?
I mean, to be honest, this wasn't plan A, if I'm totally honest. It kind of, I think, because it was always his work when I was growing up, it just wasn't, and a lot of it was because what he did was dangerous quite a lot of the time when they went away on the specials. And that's when he'd be away the most, because that's sort of like 3-4 weeks at a time. And I think my mum and my dad obviously together decided it's best not to tell the girls exactly what I'm doing every time, just because I don't really want to know that he's sort of skiing down a ski slope in a car. It's probably best I'm not aware. So it was very much, that's just his work. And so for me, cars and his work just became synonymous. And I think it wasn't until I got a little bit older and I understood a little bit more about what he was actually doing and that cars were this whole world in themselves.
Yeah.
I realised, that's quite fun. I quite like that world. I want to get into that. So yeah, it was kind of a weird stumble across it. And then as soon as I got in it, I was like, I love this. And also as well, when I started driving, I think that because when you're actually in a car and you're feeling a car and you're sort of operating a car, it changes how you think about them and how you feel about them. So I think that was a big turning point for me. And then, it's kind of spiraled from there and now I love it.
And now it's brought you two even closer as well because you do your podcast together.
Yeah, massively. And like I said, he was away for work like the majority of my life. Obviously, Grand Tour's just come to an end and it's like exactly my lifetime is sort of that show. With
that episode made me cry, by the way.
I know. So it was actually pretty sad. And I don't normally get emotional about that stuff, but I did shed a tear. It was quite good. Yeah. But no, so it's really nice for us to spend time together now, and doing the podcast it's brilliant because it's such like a passion project. I know that's so cliche, but it really is.
No, but it's good to say that because you're just loving what you're doing.
Yeah, and actually weirdly for him, quite nice to do something not about cars because it's about men's mental health primarily. Obviously cars are woven in because we love them and we end up talking about them, but it's nice for him to have another focus, and I'm hoping he's enjoying working with me. I'm enjoying working with him. So
That's really nice.
and who doesn't want to work with their dad? It's so nice.
I would love to work with my dad, but I feel like he would really annoy me after a while.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
get
keeping
used
my
to it.
dad away from this podcast is what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, maybe he could be the next guest. You never know.
And he totally could. He would just talk about being a London cabbie the whole time.
Well, there you go.
We do have some more listener questions for
Okay,
you.
I'm
This
ready.
is from Martin in the UK. Who's the better driver, you or your dad?
I crash less, so probably me.
Yeah, but is that because of statistics? You've been driving for less. Okay.
No. I think statistically, I crash less.
Okay.
He is probably, he is the better driver. We actually did some drifting not long ago in the mud and the rain and some Welsh hills. And it's the first time I've actually been in a car with him where he's kind of done some actual cool driving. And, and you're like, yeah, you are actually quite good at that. That's kind of annoying. Yeah. So I will begrudgingly say him.
This is from Olivia, who is also in the Netherlands, who says, is your dad jealous that you've got a job at Red Bull?
I brought him with me to Goodwood when we were all there, and because you did the podcast with all the drivers, and I was sort of showing him around the cars, because obviously now my expert mechanic knowledge, I know exactly what everything does. And I could tell he was a little bit like, okay, this is quite cool. So it's kind of fun.
This is from Gaia in Iceland, who says, what car would you buy if money was no object?
I'm sorry that I'm about to say this word, but it'd be a Ferrari.
No, you're not.
812.
No, that's
sorry.
brand.
I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure we just bleeped that out.
I'm sorry. Well, Rebel. I can't
don't-
buy a Rebel car.
No, we don't say the F word on this podcast.
812. or Porsche 911, the Turbo S with the whale tail, like the 1971.
That's fine. We'll just take that as your answer. That's what we'll do.
Okay, but it would be an 812. I'm really sorry. I said what I said.
This is from Eddie in Canada, who says, what do you like better, tyre donuts or real donuts?
Tyre donuts, 1,000,000%. They are the coolest thing you can do in a car.
Also, they smell nice.
Yeah. It's just sick. And when they do the one-handed thing. Yeah, I love that.
It's just the smell of like the burning rubber and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just so
you just
good.
know something cool is happening. You can feel it.
Yeah, it smells amazing.
Yeah.
So when can we expect the next episode of Showrunners? I believe the start of November.
I think that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I should know. But
Okay.
I think that's the plan.
And if you could sum up that episode in one sentence, what would you say?
Very American.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all?
You'll see why.
Okay,
You'll
I'm
see why.
interested. I'm looking forward to watching it. Izzy, thank you so much for joining us on Talking Bull, and welcome to the Red Bull family.
Thank you so much.
It's
I've had a
nice,
lovely
right?
time. Yeah.
How much merch do you have?
I've got quite a lot.
Have you?
I've got quite a lot.
What have
and
you got?
I'm pretty proud of it.
What have you got?
I can possibly tell you.
Because I'm at the point, I don't know if you're the same as me, but if it's branded, if it's
I'm
Red
having
Bull
it.
branded and it's free, give me.
Yeah,
I
I'm
want
having all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've got like some cups and some hats and all that sort of thing.
I'm going to say another bad word. I drive a Mercedes.
No, not the M word. Don't allow
But
it here.
I've put a Red Bull keychain on it.
Oh, that's nice.
So is it really a Mercedes?
No, it's not.
It's a Red Bull now.
Yeah, well done. That is full-blown branded loveliness.
Yeah, I just love the brand. I live the brand.
Love that. Izzy, thank you so much for joining us on Talking Bull. And Talking Bull will be back very, very soon. We'll see you next time.